Continuing on our Halloween movie memories, we take a look at Interview with a Vampire. Director Neil Jordan says, "It's a movie about the saddest vampires you will ever see," which is an understatement. Unlike most vampire films that have us fighting these undead monsters, Interview is a dark exploration into what it would be like to live as a vampire. Debuting in 1994, this movie was already about 20 years in the making. The script and novel had been floating around studios looking for the right person to take the helm. Lucky for us vampire nuts, it found the perfect place in the hands of director Neil Jordan. The screenplay was written by the author Anne Rice herself. It was a blockbuster hit and made huge at the box office. I first saw this film in the summer of '96 on late night television. I was so amazed by the movie that I had to buy the VHS and share it with all my friends. At the time, I had never read the books. The movie made me curious about the Vampire Chronicles, and for the next couple years I had a lot of material to cover. For a while there, it seemed whenever I finished a book, another came out. Interview was something we as a family could all sit down and watch. We'd created our own nicknames and vocabulary that only we could understand. It was like an exclusive club. I'm sure others thought we were crazy calling each other Louis or Lestat, but we didn't care. It was our love for the movie that allowed us to connect. My mom once showed the movie to her neighbors, who were scared of the film. They had strong voodoo beliefs and were convinced in the existence of vampires. The movie starred Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Slater, the detective from V, and... "No, Antonio, don't do it! It's just too sexy!" We were impressed by the acting of TC in the film. It was before his insane antics of today, during his golden era. Even though he did a superb job, we loved making fun of him in certain scenes. Like this one where he takes Louis up into the air while biting him. Tom's eyebrows ripple. They even have their own music cue. Or in the scene when Tom starts yelling, his voice starts to almost break. He's the energy of Lestat. Lestat is a powerful, manipulative narcissist who is full of bold, dark humor. He's more colorful than his companions, and even though he's evil, he believes that he's blessed Louis and Claudia with a great gift. I'm sure he takes a few moments to wonder why they are not more appreciative of what he has given them. He also has his own torments, such as an eternal loneliness, which is what brought him to turn them into vampires. He acts like a parent to Louis, at first teaching him how to survive as a vampire. In the scene where he tortures a lady of the night, it is like an animal teaching its cub how to kill. Except unlike an animal, Louis has his humanity conflicting with his newfound vampiric nature. He does not want to kill. As described by Lestat, he is merciful death. Brad Pitt effortlessly captured the emotions of the character Louis. There were many levels to the character that when upon reading the book I was surprised at how well he managed to express that dynamic. Louis whines a lot in the film, but unlike modern-day emo whining characters, Louis is one you actually like and can empathize with. His life was shit. His problems were real problems. We can say that we have thought some of the same things as he did when we lost loved ones to horrific sudden deaths. So suck it, Bella. Yeah, you go jump in the sea. Louis is the opposite of Lestat. Where Lestat is bright and full of zest, Louis is brooding and depressing. In many ways they are polar opposites. Louis is a tragic character, almost out of Shakespeare. He can never catch a break. His wife dies before he turns, and then finds true love again with a woman who is damned for all eternity as a little girl. Lestat and Louis were in many ways one of the first on-screen same-sex parenting couples. I found this was very progressive. They have great scenes together, and never once did they have to fall into gay film stereotypes. Apparently Rice had to rewrite the script with Louis being a woman with Cher in mind to take on the role. This was due to the rampant homophobia in Hollywood at the time. Fortunately, they went with them both being men. I think if they made a change that big, it would have been an epic failure. I bet those homophobes in Hollywood were cringing at the scene. Come on, kiss him! Kiss him! Do it! I know you want to! Aw, damn. I guess it's just too sexy. I would like to see how this series would be if HBO took the reins. They aren't shy of a little man-on-man action. Returning to the subject of parents, when dealing with Claudia, Lestat is the bad cop while Louis is the good cop. I always had one parent being the hammer while the other was being more sympathetic and diplomatic. Claudia is amazing. Kirsten Dunst was able to show her potential acting ability. She authentically portrayed the change from a young girl to a vampire to a mature woman trapped in a little girl's body. I found it intriguing that they explored the concept of being trapped in your youth. So many adults wish to be kids again, but in reality it would be a living hell. Your freedoms, intellect, and maturity would be trampled on, and no one would take you serious. You would literally be trapped under everyone's shadow and be helpless to do anything about it. How could you possibly want that? Not only is Claudia trapped in the body of a child, but she's cursed with the hunger of a child. This makes her an efficient, vicious killer. She's the perfect lure, a scared little girl who needs help. Antonio Banderas was an odd choice for Armand. After reading the book, I discovered he was a teenage Russian ginger, not a Spaniard. However, Antonio's performance was so burned into my mind, I still can't think of anyone else playing him. However, I did have trouble understanding him in a few scenes.
I will only risk losing you!
What? Oh, thank God for subtitles. I bet the teeth didn't help him much either. I wonder how much of this film ended up being ADR. Armand is a complete prick. As with most movies, the books explore him more, and when you find out the history of the theater and who once owned it, you'll see how much of a prick Armand really is. The vampires he lives with in the crypts under the theater look drab and bored out of their minds. They're a reminder that immortality has its price. I can never understand anyone who wants to be immortal. It must be driven by a fear of death, because I know I would get so bored after the first 100 years. Being immortal is not a good thing. Seems like an awesome idea, but seriously, in the end, you would regret your decision and want death. Maybe people find suffering at that level to be romantic. Armand also makes hints that he has the answers Louis seeks. He uses this to control him. He reveals just enough to keep Louis from leaving, teasing him to want more. Armand's greatest mistake was participating in Claudia's demise. If he had just waited a couple more days, Claudia would have been out of Paris with Mandolin. Real bad move, Armand. The movie employed the use of practical effects that were very subtle. The scene where Lestat gets his throat cut was a robot. I never knew that at the time, but that is how good the effects were. They were so well done they blended seamlessly into the scenes. The effects were overseen by the late Stan Winston's genius. I love the scene where Lestat climbs around the ceiling while on fire. The makeup was also breathtaking. TC never looked better as a walking corpse. Oh yeah, you can practically smell him through the screen. And of course the hair. No, I don't have a hair fetish, I just like long hair on men, as long as it's well taken care of and clean. I would run my fingers through it for hours. Maybe I do have a hair fetish. Don't judge me! They made a sequel, Queen of the Damned, and I despise it. Whereas the producers to interview paid respect to the source material, Damned was a big crap on the faces of fans everywhere. I heard that Anne Rice was not entirely pleased with how her writing was being translated. I remember telling a few of my friends her stance, and they replied with, "Well, what does Anne Rice know?" I still get headaches hearing that. I wonder if Anne has ever encountered such silly people. I hope not. As I mentioned before, HBO would do an amazing job transforming the Vampire Chronicles into a television series. It won't be the interview with the vampire I remember, but it would still be epic. But until that happens, this movie holds great nostalgia value for me, and it is still a favorite for Halloween viewing. Until next time, this has been the Dori Korner.